Congressional Republicans are passing around a document listing all the potential issues that could be investigated should Democrats take control of Congress after the midterm elections. Now, Trump has a long list of bad behavior, and Republicans have managed to avoid certain investigations that Democrats have wanted to launch because Democrats don't have any power in Congress at the moment. So thanks to their control of Congress, according to Axios, which obtained this list, Republicans have blocked most of the Democrats' investigative requests. But if the House flips, the GOP loses its power to stymie. So what does that mean? What are the potential areas of investigation that Democrats might want to take hold of should they take hold of Congress in the future? Well, this list is very long, but I want you to stay with me. President Trump's tax returns. He has refused to release his taxes. We all know that. Trump family businesses and whether they comply with the Constitution's emoluments clause, including the Chinese trademark grant to the Trump Organization.
How crazy is that?
Trump's dealings with Russia, including the president's preparation for his meeting with Vladimir Putin.
Do we know what that's a reference to?
So Trump, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe it has to do with, remember Trump invited Vladimir Putin to meet with him in the White House, and that's since been postponed. I think that's what they're referring to.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what preparation in terms of like notes or something.
I mean, there could be more scandal that we're unaware of. The payment to Stephanie Clifford, AKA Stormy Daniels, James Comey's firing, Trump's firing of US attorneys, Trump's proposed transgender ban for the military. Remember that? Feels like that was years ago. Yeah, there's more. So let's look, let's see what it is. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin's business dealings.
Oh.
That's a very broad bullet point, by the way. White House staff's personal email use.
Oh God.
Okay, let's stop there for a second.
Oh God.
White House staff's personal email use. I know we've talked about it on the show before, but we've been bombarded with so many crazy Trump stories that like we just forgot. You just let it go.
Can we just lock everybody up? Everybody, I'm including me and you.
Well, that's what they're worried
everybody
about.
Go to jail. Start over.
That's why Republicans in Congress are passing this document along to their colleagues because they want to prepare themselves for what's to come if there is, in fact, some sort of blue wave. Let me give you more. Cabinet Secretary travel, office expenses, and other misused perks. Discussion of classified information at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so let's stop there for a second. Just to remind you, Trump officials, Trump lawyers, just openly talking about sensitive or classified information in public spaces. Jared Kushner's ethics law compliance, dismissal of members of the EPA Board of Scientific Counselors, the travel ban, family separation policy, hurricane response in Puerto Rico, election security and hacking attempts, White House security clearances. So I guess the procedure for Republicans hasn't been to hold their own president accountable for this long laundry list of scandal, but rather do damage control or prevent investigations. And now they're concerned because if Democrats take control, they won't be able to stymie investigations the way that they have been so far.
It would be really interesting if they were able to get through Freedom of Information Act requests or something like that, internal communications about the Muslim travel ban, the family separation policy, and the response to the Hurricane Maria. That would be really interesting because in a White House filled with people like Stephen Miller and things like that, especially as that hurricane is bearing down on them in the immediate aftermath, God only knows what they were saying. And what they weren't saying in terms of any sort of responsibility to actually help them rebuild. That could be really interesting.
Absolutely, and I'm just curious what will happen if Democrats do take control. Because I think that it takes the right kind of Democrats to aggressively investigate Trump and also hold him accountable for his actions. So last week we talked to you a little bit about how Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to push for impeachment. And that was insane, right? I mean, for me, that showed, this is after the Manafort convictions, after Michael Cohen pleaded guilty. I mean,
I don't know. Look, partly I want to pressure them to focus more on providing a positive idea of what they would do were they to gain control. And if she'd started immediately talking about impeachment, she would have been attacked for that. I don't know. Look, I don't want her to be in control of the Democrats in the House. If we take control, I can say that much. So at the end of the day, I guess I'm not really that concerned about her priorities.
Yeah, look, I think that there's a legitimate conversation, discussion, debate about whether or not it makes sense to impeach Trump, right? But at the same time, for me, it wasn't about the issue of impeaching Trump. It was more about how Nancy Pelosi reacts to things where she does have some power and can accomplish something. So the way that the Dreamers were put on the back burner during that debate about funding the government, that drove me crazy.
Yes.
Now that was more Chuck Schumer than Nancy Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi is still in a position of power. Chuck Schumer certainly was in a position of power. They were in a position where they had this rare leverage, even though they're not, the majority in Congress, and they just let that opportunity go. And it made me very upset. So my point is, we need Democrats, progressives that are gonna fight for the right things. It's not enough that Republicans are afraid of these investigations. The investigations have to actually happen if Democrats take control.
Yeah, and we have to, in particular areas, constrain our expectations, even if they do gain control, and then in other areas not so much. But in terms, they could pass whatever bills they want if they control the House. If they don't control the Senate, or even if they do, it's not necessarily going to go anywhere, but they can hope to, maybe if they're in power, especially as we get into the primaries for the next presidential election, they can perhaps drive some of the media coverage by focusing on particular issues, assuming the media pays attention at all. Look, I think the media is going to be really ready to just jump into the horse race. And who is this person going to announce? And is this person, maybe they're going to run. And so I worry about the ability of even a Democratic majority with a bunch of people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and as I said earlier today, Rashida Tlaib was on the show today. People like that, they can drive a lot of good discussion about progressive policies. But if the media doesn't pay attention, it's going to be harder for people to actually realize it. I mean, they'll always be able to come on here, thankfully, home of progressives, and we'll talk about those things. But we'll see. I think CNN, they've got their big screens and they want to start circling states and all that stuff. I don't know how excited they're going to be to talk about the policies.
Well, we can't rely on CNN, right?
I do.
We can't rely on cable news to get the word out. You have to be scrappy, you have to be innovative, you have to find better ways to get the message out. And even though it was very clear that CNN was so dismissive of Bernie Sanders, he still managed to get his message out.
Eventually, yes.
So that's important, and we can learn something from that.
Oh, I can't wait to see too, because I don't know if you remember, but after the election, especially after the inauguration, CNN was like, can we get Bernie on a town hall every single week? We'll see how they feel once he's running again, though.
Yeah.
Are they gonna be doing those little mock debates with Ted Cruz and stuff like that?
Doubt it. Never miss another TYT video by ringing the bell below. You'll get notified whenever we publish something new. And don't forget to join TYT and download the TYT Plus app today. Download the TYT Plus app on your phone or head over to tyt.com/join.